in the early 70s, the issue of protection of human subjects was just becoming recognized as a really major issue.
I was in law school and I was working in a law firm. So their clients, the medical schools and the teaching hospitals, were very worried about staying on top of what was increasingly a large number of federal regulations, state regulations, and even local regulations.
My first PRIMR meeting was in 1978. There were 25 people. We thought it was a huge number.
It was originally just small dinner groups where they would discuss issues, and then they decided, gee, if we're struggling, I suspect our colleagues in other parts of the country are struggling as well. Why don't we have a conference?
When I first started coming to PRIMR, it was 1979, and at that point, there was no such thing as a professional research administrator.
We have really been mission-driven, met the needs of our colleagues who were growing in this field. The field has grown with us. In fact, we've been the leader in this field.
A number of years ago, we had two different kinds of parts to PRIMR, and one was called ARENA, Applied Research Ethics National Association, which is now folded into PRIMR.
And it was through PRIMR's efforts and the efforts of its membership group called ARENA that management of animal care committees, human subjects committees became not only an accepted profession, but a respected profession.
I thought PRIMR would always play a small role. I never would have guessed that it would grow to its present size or that it would expand to virtually every research institution, not only in this country, but roughly 80 countries worldwide.
PRIMR has been part of the way that this country thinks about ethics, appreciates ethics. PRIMR's been there to help the regulators think about ethics, and most importantly, has really been there to protect human subjects.
The Belmont Report is actually no different than what your mother told you when you were growing up, which is you should tell the truth, you should be nice, you shouldn't hurt anybody.
Principles, not specific rules, not specific guidance, but ways of thinking about the ethical concerns in research. If you think about the three principles, respect for persons, beneficence, and justice, what you find are key, fundamental, ethical obligations of researchers that always matter.
You know, you have the people duking it out but we're all in the same ring. And as you go against the ropes, that's where the Belmont Principles push you back in.
PRIMR has to know what the divergent views are, and PRIMR has to know which of those divergent views are credible.
The role of PRIMR is to ask you to talk it through extensively to get the right people at the table who disagree perhaps with each other, so that at the end we're all confident that what is happening is ethical and that it benefits humankind.
By getting the right people, by thinking the good thoughts, the difficult thoughts. It's been a most unusual group of people who spend their time thinking philosophically, judiciously, broadly about what the impact of research, which we all want to see prosper, because in the long run it makes us all healthier and have a better life.
PRIMR is one of the premier organizations that the government calls upon to give advice that is impartial, that guides the government in making the right rules and regulations for research, both for humans and animals.
Involvement in the oversight of human research and in the conduct of human research is a daunting exercise. It's very complicated, very complex.
PRIMR is a place where everyone can come together. You put aside what you do during the day. You put aside whether you're a regulator, whether you're an administrator, whether you're a research advocate, whether you're a policymaker.
Protect research subjects. They give so much to the research enterprise. They literally are, in many cases, putting their lives on the line.
How do we prevent exploitation of populations that have not been served historically in research projects, but who are now clamoring for access to research benefits?
Being an advocate for people with HIV, PRIMR has been really important for me as a source of learning more about how institutional review boards should work, how to improve informed consent.
I just know that forever and ever, research subjects will be at a disadvantage and need protection. And PRIMR will be there to help.
There was sort of a framework and a formula. You had individual presentations, you had panel discussions, and then you had workshops, and that gave everybody that came an opportunity to interact with other people.
The interaction, the mentoring system provides us with so many opportunities to educate.
I recently received my CIP certification this past September because of coming to PRIMR, being a member, and deciding that it was worthwhile for my career to do so.
Without PRIMR, I doubt where there is no other forum in the world, I believe, which will offer you this opportunity.
I'm very impressed with the conference, about the organization, but in particular about the very high level and of the highly qualified presenters.
This year's Distinguished Service Award goes to Dr. Jeremy Sugarman. I really do appreciate this award greatly. It's such a great organization to work with. You are great people to work with. Your dedication, your curiosity, and your passion for what you do makes participating in PRIMR events extremely worthwhile.
One of the nice things about coming to a PRIMR meeting is meeting people who are engaged in the same activities that you are, facing similar struggles, have come up with creative solutions, things that you may not glean from simply reading the federal regulations for the oversight of research.
You know, they give you that firm foundation of regulations, and now with the workshops, like how to apply those things.
Whatever you have to do, tell your management, supervisor, institutional official, this is the primo conference to come to. I mean, there's nothing better than PRIMR.
At every annual meeting, it covers both the basics for people who are very new to serving on an IRB, and it also covers the complex issues for people who've been working in the field for 20 years but now have to face some new twists.
As we now settle into the 21st century and we're thinking about the new scientific challenges ahead and how to bring in a whole diverse culture of people, not only in the United States, but around the world, into conducting ethical research, building better science.
And PRIMR has fostered that kind of environment that is purposeful about bringing young people along, so that for some of us who are mid or approaching late career can now look back and say, it's my turn to reach down and bring on the next generation of professionals who will continue this work.
PRIMR has an amazing convening power, and so what it can do is bring together people with the variety of expertise that you need to understand what the ethical issues are.
As the technology changes, the training for individuals changes, the skills change. And PRIMR provides educational programs, whether it be for the IACUC 101 or IACUC Advanced programs for animals, IRB, similar programs for human research. Those provide the ethical details around the framework of the principles themselves.
PRIMR has really broadened its agenda in response to how research has changed and even greater awareness of the field of research ethics, which itself has grown over the last 35 years.
The type of research, such as genetic-based research, stem cell research, technology brings us new challenges about privacy, about confidentiality, and PRIMR will continue to be vital in creating those environments where one can dialogue about what is ethical under these conditions.
I think the impact of PRIMR has been really substantial. I think we were instrumental, but we needed the cooperation of an awful lot of people.
And not only have we created a community and done the educational piece, but I think we've created a profession.
So I have felt honored and privileged to have had the opportunity to make friends that have lasted a lifetime through PRIMR.
She's one of my best friends.
It is wonderful to know that 3,000 people can come together to try to solve the same problem together. And it is a together way of solving things.